Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So today we're going to be reviewing the JJRC H8 mini quadcopter. This is a review model from allbuy.com. I'll have the links in the description of where you can pick this little guy up. And this one here, it looks like it's around the nano size, getting close to the nano size. It does say mini, but I know there's a few different size quadcopters kind of go by. Goes down from mini to micro to nano. So this is kind of getting into the nano size. It's not quite as small as some of the other ones like the Cheerson CX10, but it is pretty darn small. So we're going to be taking this guy and taking it, doing some flight video with it with a hat cam, seeing how it performs in the park, also doing some flights in the house and seeing how it does as well. So let's see what you get out of the box. So first off, here is the H8, and it's already got these little mini prop guards on here, held on by one screw. Real low profile prop guards, doesn't seem like it'll create much drag. And the overall construction seems pretty good. It seems like it's going to be pretty durable as far as with some small crashes and bumps. And then the battery they give you is a 150 mAh 3.7 volt, just your basic mini battery. Then we get the controller here. So the controller is your basic small controller. It's a little larger than the nano controller, just a little bit larger. And it's basically takes 3 AAA batteries. Let's take out what else we get in the box, and then we'll go back to the controller and go through all the functions. So we also get this little bag in the bottom here that looks like it's got the charger, screwdriver, 4 propellers, actually 2 props. So too bad, JJRC. I wish you would have included 4 props. They do give you 2, but I do like to see manufacturers including 4, because these things are more directed to the learning flyer, the amateur flyer, and they are going to need those extra props. So anyway, you get the charger for the battery. You'd plug this into any like a phone USB plug on your wall or computer and charge it up. Screwdriver for taking off and on your prop guards or taking the shell off. And they give you these little feet. Looks like these little feet will just, they got these little sticky stuff on the bottom on one side. So you would just basically stick these on the bottom of your motors. Looks like it'll just give it a little more padding. And really don't weigh anything, so I don't think that'll affect flight really at all. So I'll probably be putting those on as well. So let's talk a little bit more about the controller. So basically you got your throttle and your yaw on the left, and then you have your roll and pitch on the right. And doesn't have any top buttons. Basically you have your trim for your roll on the right and your pitch here in the middle, power off and on switch. And then this one that looks like the yaw for the left stick is actually your speed switch. Since there is no top buttons, they had to put the function somewhere else. So this one you would just click left and right to go from basically rate, speed. This one also has a flip mode, headless function, and a return to home function, which is pretty unique for a small little quadcopter like this. You usually don't see those unless you're going a little larger in size. And the way you use those functions, for flipping, you just basically push in the right stick. You're gonna hear some beeping, and any direction you push the right stick in, it will flip. So if you push the button, press forward one time, it'll flip forward, back, left, right. And then the left stick, this is how you activate your headless mode and your return to home. So you click it in one time, and the copter will go into headless mode, and that way you can turn it any direction you want, and back will always come back towards you, forward will always go forward, left always left, right always left, right. And then to activate the return to home, you just click and hold the left stick and it will go into return to home mode, and it will basically come back in its basic bearing. So it's not going to come diagonally back to you, it's just going to come back in the direction it was launched. So if you fly away straight out from you, which I recommend, it will just come back in that general direction. If you're far off to the right side, like say in the field, and you do press the headless mode or return to home, it'll just come in the back direction. So I always recommend launching it pointing away from you, just so you have that bearing. It also has a couple of calibration modes. So when it is on, you just do the left thumbsticks to the bottom left, and that should calibrate the gyro. And then if you want to recalibrate the compass, say you had some problems with magnet or metal around you, get to an area where there's no magnets or metal, and go ahead and put it on a super flat surface, level surface. And that goes for both the gyro and the compass. And push both sticks to the bottom right, and that should calibrate the compass. Oh yeah, and you also get the instruction manual in the box, which goes through all the flight modes, controls in Chinese and English. This thing really quick, I'm just going to go ahead and put the feet on. Since we're here, let's just go ahead and do this real quick. So take off the sticky backing. And it looks like it has this little middle plug, so I guess that can just pull out. There you go. So do that for all four corners, and you've got these nice little padded feet on there. Okay, so got all the feet on. Let's go ahead and take this thing out, do some flying, test all the modes, and come on back to the bench and give it our final pros and cons. Okay, so we're at the park with the JJRC H8 Mini. Gonna do a little test flight. Got a little bit of a wind, maybe a 5 mile per hour coming from the east. And let's see how it does. Whoop. Okay, so it looks like it binds right away. No need to up and down the throttle. I'm going to go into rate 2 since there is a little bit of wind. Let's see how it does. Nice and quiet. Whoa! Okay, there's some massive yaw rate on mode 2, so we'll go back to mode 1. Try it out in mode 1. Okay, so that's the pitch in mode 1. And yaw rate mode 1. Wow, still fast. Okay, so definitely for a beginner, you're going to want to be in mode 1, and it's still very fast in mode 1. So keep that in mind. That was the mode 1 yaw. See how fast that is. Whew. I'm trying to fight the wind to come back. Fully pitched in mode 1. Mode 2 gives you a little more pitch, it looks like. But look at the yaw rate in mode 2. Oh. That's some crazy yaw rate. So unless you're a super mini professional, don't use mode 2. You can do little minor yaw adjustments in mode 2, but geez, when you want to turn all the way around, see how fast that is. But you get the better pitch. You can see how fast it's flying with mode 2 pitched all the way. Nice and fast, but it's just pretty out of control when you try to turn because that yaw is so fast. Go ahead and do a little range test across the park. See how far we get. Before I do that range test, actually, I'm going to do a signal loss test. So I'm just going to hover here, turn the controller off. See what happens. Okay, it drops. Perfect. That's exactly what you want it to do, is drop. Alright, let's go for our range test now before the battery runs out. Going to stay in rate 1 for this range test, in fear of spinning out of control. Alright, so it looked like I went about 100 feet before I lost full control, which is pretty good for a mini like this. This is rate 1. And rate 2. You get quite a bit more pitch and roll. It's just that that yaw is out of control. Good for acrobatics. Getting some good flight time on this. I don't see any blinking lights yet. Does feel like it's getting a little bit sluggish. Oh yeah, we forgot to test the headless mode. The headless should be left thumbstick click in. Yep, so I'm rotating. Yeah, it's working. Okay, and then you click in the left thumbstick again just to turn it off. Turn the headless off. I think I'm definitely, yeah, okay, we're out of juice. Alright, so didn't get to test the return to home, but I'll go ahead and test that in the house and see how that functions. So let's get back to the bench and after a house test and go ahead and go through our pros and cons. We're in mode 1. See how it flies indoors. Just going to trim it up a little bit, see how much of a steady hover we can get. Whoa. Alright, so maybe some slight interference from the home wireless, I'm noticing. Anyway, let's do our test. So from hover, let's check out the thrust. From hover to full throttle. Pretty good. So yaw in mode 1. Alright, so that's pretty quick just for mode 1. This has 2 modes. Let's do the pitch and roll in mode 1. So here's the roll, pitch, and mode 2 is a super radical mode we're going to go into right now by pressing this button on the bottom of the throttle. Okay, so in mode 2, look how fast this thing is when we yaw it. It's pretty wild. Alright, so it spins kind of like a top. Pretty radical. So that mode definitely for advanced users only. And let's see how the pitch and roll is in mode 2. Definitely more of an angle there. For a very fast flight. Okay, so I'm going to rebind and try the headless and return to home feature. I only got to try the headless feature in the park. I didn't have enough battery to try the return to home, so let's give it a quick test. So I'm going to bind, pointing it in the direction that I want to fly, and I'm going to lift off. And headless would be left thumbstick in. There's headless mode. Spinning and pulling the stick in any direction. And let's try the return to home. So we're going to go right thumbstick in and pull back. Whoop, that's a flip. Never mind. Okay, we're still in headless. Still doing flips. Okay, so here's the way it seems like return to home is working. When you push in the left stick, it's going to do a return to home. When you put any of the right stick input, you'll go into headless mode. So as soon as you put some of the right stick input, now you're in headless. So keep that in mind. If you get lost, okay, we're out of juice. So to use the headless mode, just to reiterate that, to use the headless mode, you are going to click in and move this will be headless. But if you just click in the left stick one time, it'll just start the return to home. Okay guys, so anyway, let's go ahead and get back to the bench and do our final pros and cons, afterthoughts, and see how this thing did. Hey guys, welcome back. So you saw some test flight video in the park at the house of the JJRC H8 Mini quadcopter. And I'm going to go through some pros and cons just to kind of wrap this up and some final thoughts on the whole experience here. So first of all, the prop guards are not removable. That's kind of a con here. There's a screw here, but basically the screw just kind of combines the body together. If you did want to eventually remove these prop guards, you'll probably have to just cut them off. But it's such a fast machine that you probably maybe want to leave them on. And they don't seem to be doing much in the way of, if you took them off, you wouldn't save much weight, and also it's not really hindering it much in the wind and stuff. So you might just want to leave those on, but if you really did want the optimal flying efficiency, you can just cut these off if you started to get better at flying. Second thing is, it seems like it has durable construction. I didn't do too much crashing, but just by kind of twisting it and flexing it, it does feel like it can take some hard drops, some hard hits. The antennas are the props are pretty flexible and they bounce right back. The rate mode is kind of bittersweet. It's there's two rate modes. There's a mode 1 and a mode 2, and the mode 1, as you saw in the video, is still pretty darn fast as far as the yaw rate is pretty fast. The mode 2 gives it a little more pitch and roll, but the yaw rate goes like it starts to spin like a top. So at that point, you can't really control it much unless you really put in just really quick yaw inputs, just real tiny yaw inputs. If you just hold it for a little bit, it'll just spin out of control super fast. So really don't go into mode 2 unless you're a really experienced flyer. Even mode 1 is kind of pushing it for a beginner flyer. So that kind of gets into the con of the modes. I do wish maybe it had 3 different modes, maybe a mode 1, which was a lot easier and slower to control for a beginner flyer, and then the mode 2 and the mode 3, maybe leave those as the modes it has now. But I would have liked to see maybe one more kind of mellower mode, so you're not so out of control unless you're an experienced flyer. A pro in this guy is it is pretty darn quiet. For a mini quad like this, I guess it's probably the design of the props and how the props are kind of larger. It doesn't have that high pitch whine that most mini quads have. It's got kind of a nice mellow lower frequency tone to it, so it's not going to really bug people like a mosquito so much like a lot of the other quads do. The headless and the return to home modes worked pretty good. I was in the field and I didn't get to test at the park. I didn't get to test the return to home, but then I had tested it again in the house and it did work fine. As long as you you launch it pointed away from you, and you know, you do the calibrations on a level surface and it's pointed away from you, you shouldn't have any problems with the headless mode and return to home. And that in itself is kind of interesting that they did include the headless and return to home in such a small quad like this. This is the first I've seen with those modes in this such small of a form factor. So that's actually kind of a bonus that they included those features. As far as the range goes, I was getting at the park, I was getting 75 to 100 feet. Of course, depending on the angle it is from you, maybe a little lower to the ground, you'll get a different type of range than if you went higher above, just because the way the frequency is transmitting. But I'd say in between 75 and 100 feet until it did lose range. And I also did a kind of a transmitter fail-safe test, and it seemed really good at just kind of dropping out of the sky when it lost connection with the transmitter. So we're going to kind of get into flight times now. Average flight times were about 5 minutes, and doesn't really give you much time to land. It kind of pretty much just drops out of the sky as soon as the low voltage lights start to flash on the bottom. So 5 minutes of flight time, and that's not bad for one of these types of mini quads. It's only got a 150 milliamp LiPo battery that comes with it. So again, I would recommend this guy for maybe more of an experienced flyer that wants something super fast. You can use it if you're kind of a beginner, but you're just going to want to be careful with that yaw. Just kind of give it little short yaw movements, or else you're going to be spinning out of control and getting lost. And then again, just to reiterate the return to home and headless function, you click in the button one time on the left and it will come back to you slowly and kind of in a return to home function. As soon as you put that right control input while it's in that mode, it goes into its headless mode. So, and then to get out of that again, you just click in the left thumbstick button. So anyway guys, again, this was a review model from allbuy.com. I'll have the links in the description of where to pick this one up. Definitely a super fast quad. It's good at what it does. I think it's made to be more of a faster mini quad like this, and it does the job. Anyway, hope you liked the review, and I hope it helps you decide if you like this guy and like to pick it up. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you in the next video.